Now, let me share with you a principle so profound, yet so simple, that it will completely revolutionize your understanding of manifestation. The words you speak to yourself, those intimate conversations that fill your consciousness day and night, are not mere thoughts floating in the void. They are the very substance of creation itself. You see, while the world teaches you to speak affirmations as though they were magical incantations, you are being awakened to the truth that it is not the words themselves that hold power, but the consciousness from which they spring. Every word you speak to yourself is either accepting or rejecting your desires and consciousness. Consider this eternal principle. When you speak to yourself, you are not merely engaging in idle mental chatter. You are declaring the state of consciousness you occupy. And since consciousness is the only reality, these declarations become the blueprint of your manifested world. I tell you with absolute certainty, the conversation you hold with yourself is the most important conversation you will ever have. For in these intimate dialogues, you are either accepting your good as a present fact or pushing it away as a future possibility. Now let us understand something that few will grasp, but that your soul will recognize as truth. When you speak to yourself, you are not speaking to a separate entity. You are speaking as the very consciousness that creates and sustains the universe. This is why your self-talk holds such creative power. Most will continue to believe that they must speak to some external power, never realizing that the power they seek is the very consciousness that enables them to speak. But you who have been drawn to these words by divine law, are ready to understand that all speaking is speaking to consciousness itself. You see, while others exhaust themselves with endless positive affirmations spoken from a consciousness of lack, you are being awakened to the truth that it is not the words that create, but the consciousness from which they emanate. The very fact that these words find resonance within you is evidence that you have evolved beyond the surface understanding of self-talk. You are ready to assume your rightful place as a conscious creator, knowing that your words to yourself are the very substance of creation. Now, let me reveal to you why the manner in which you speak to yourself holds such transformative power. The words you whisper in the silence of your own mind are not merely thoughts. They are the very vibrations that shape the substance of your reality. You see, while countless individuals fill their minds with desperate affirmations, speaking from a place of want and need, you are being awakened to the truth that effective self-talk must emerge from a consciousness of already having. This is the divine secret that accelerates all manifestation. Consider this profound truth when you speak to yourself as though your desire is still to come. You are actually speaking from and therefore creating a state of consciousness where your desire remains perpetually in the future. This is why so many find their manifestation seemingly delayed. I tell you with absolute authority, the way you speak to yourself must be from the consciousness of fulfillment, not from the consciousness of wanting. When you say I will be, you speak from lack. When you say I am, you speak from completion. Now let us understand something that the rational mind might resist, but that the awakened mind embraces fully. Your self-talk is not preparation for having your desire. It is the actual substance of having it. Every word you speak to yourself either affirms your possession or confirms your lack. Most will continue to speak to themselves from a consciousness of separation, saying things like I want, I need, I hope, never realizing that these very words create and sustain the experience of wanting, needing, and hoping. But you who have been prepared for this message, are ready to understand that your self-talk must be from the end, from the consciousness of fulfillment. You see, while others fill their minds with future-oriented speech, always pushing their good ahead of them in time, you are being awakened to the truth that effective self-talk must be anchored in the present, in the consciousness of already being what you desire to be. The very fact that you grasp these words is evidence that you have evolved beyond the superficial understanding of affirmations. You are ready to speak to yourself with the authority of one who knows that consciousness is the only reality. You see, while the world teaches you to repeat affirmations with mechanical precision, you are being awakened to the truth that it is not repetition that creates, but the state of consciousness from which your words emerge. This is why some people can affirm endlessly without results. Consider this eternal principle When you speak to yourself with the authority of one who knows their desire is already fulfilled, you speak from a consciousness that must, by divine law, produce that fulfillment in your world. This is why results appear to come 10 times faster. I tell you with unwavering certainty, the way you speak to yourself, when no one else is listening, is creating your future with mathematical precision. Every word you utter to yourself is either accepting or rejecting your desired state as a present fact. Now let us understand something that few will grasp, but that your deeper self knows to be true. When you speak to yourself from a consciousness of lack, saying, I want to be, I hope to have, I will become, you are actually reinforcing the very state of consciousness that keeps your desire at a distance. Most will continue to speak to themselves with doubt, with uncertainty, with a consciousness of separation from their good, never realizing that this very manner of self-talk ensures their good remains perpetually out of reach. But you who have been drawn to these wildly divine law, are ready to understand that yourself must be from the consciousness of possession, not pursuit. You see, while others fill their minds with desperate pleadings and future-oriented affirmations, you are being awakened to the truth that effective self-talk must be from the state of fulfillment. When you speak to yourself, you must speak as though you are already that which you desire to be. The very fact that these words continue to resonate within you is evidence that you have evolved beyond the surface understanding of manifestation. You are ready to speak to yourself with the authority of one who knows that consciousness is the only reality. Now let me reveal to you something so profound about the rhythm and timing of your self-talk that it will revolutionize your manifesting power. The moments when you speak to yourself in complete privacy, in that sacred silence of your own consciousness, are the most potent creative moments of your day. You see, while many reserve their self-talk for designated manifestation times or meditation sessions, you are being awakened to the truth that every moment of self-talk is a moment of creation. There is no such thing as casual or insignificant inner conversation. Consider this divine principle: the words you speak to yourself in your most routine moments, while dressing, while eating, while walking, are actually more powerful than your formal buckling up. For these natural, spontaneous conversations reveal and create your true state of consciousness. I tell you with absolute conviction, when you learn to speak to yourself throughout the day as though you are already the person you desire to be, you accelerate manifestation tenfold. For you are no longer trying to manifest, you are simply being what you desire to be. Now let us understand something that the logical mind might resist, but that the awakened mind embraces fully. Every time you catch yourself in negative self-talk and consciously shift to speaking from the end, you are actually compressing time in consciousness. This is why manifestation appears to happen faster. Most will continue to separate their manifestation practice from their daily life, never realizing that every moment of self-talk is either affirming or denying their desired state. But you who have been prepared for this message, are ready to understand that all self-talk is creative self-talk. You see, while others reserve their powerful words for special occasions, you are being awakened to the truth that it is the constant, natural flow of your self-talk that shapes your world. The casual remarks you make to yourself about your life, your circumstances, your future, these are the true creators of your experience. The very fact that you can grasp these principles is evidence that you have evolved beyond the basic understanding of manifestation. You are ready to assume your place as a conscious creator who knows that every word spoken to self is a brick in the foundation of your reality. You see, while many attempt to force manifestation through sheer volume of affirmations, you are being awakened to the truth that it is not the quantity of your self-talk that matters, but its quality, the state of consciousness from which it springs. This is the key to tenfold acceleration. Consider this eternal principle. When your inner conversation naturally flows from the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, you no longer need to wait for time to bridge a gap, because in consciousness there is no gap to bridge. This is why some manifest instantly while others wait endlessly. I tell you with absolute authority, the difference between instant manifestation and delayed manifestation lies not in external conditions, but in the degree to which your self-talk naturally assumes the tone of your desire fulfilled. When this assumption is complete, manifestation appears instantaneous. Now let us understand something that few will grasp, but that your soul will recognize as truth. The very act of speaking to yourself as though waiting for your desire creates the experience of waiting. But when you speak to yourself from the consciousness of immediate possession, time collapses. Most will continue to speak to themselves with an undertone of when and how and maybe, never realizing that these very patterns of self-talk create the experience of uncertainty and desire. But you who have been drawn to these words by divine law are ready to understand that your self-talk must contain no element of future. You see, while others exhaust themselves with endless repetitions of affirmations spoken from a consciousness of lack, you are being awakened to the truth that a single word spoken from the consciousness of fulfillment is more powerful than 1,000 spoken from want. The very fact that you can feel the truth of these words is evidence that you have evolved beyond the superficial understanding of manifestation. You are ready to speak to yourself with the natural authority of one who knows that consciousness is the only reality. Now, let me reveal to you something so fundamental about accelerated manifestation that it will revolutionize your understanding of self-talk. The very language you use when speaking to yourself either opens or closes the door to instant manifestation. You see, while the world continues to speak to itself in terms of process and becoming, you are being awakened to the truth that the language of instant manifestation is the language of being. This is why those who master this principle manifest their desires with such remarkable speed. Consider this divine truth when you speak to yourself using phrases like I am working towards or I am getting better at. You are actually creating and sustaining a state of consciousness where your desire remains perpetually in process. This is the very language that delays manifestation. I tell you with unwavering certainty, the language that accelerates manifestation is the language of present possession. When you say I am, I embody, you speak the language of fulfilled desire. And fulfilled desire manifests with lightning speed. Now let us understand something that the rational mind might resist, but that the awakened mind embraces fully. Every time you speak to yourself about your desire, as though it was still to come, you push it into a future that never arrives. But when you speak of it as present fact, you collapse time in consciousness. Most will continue to use the language of becoming, of progress, of gradual improvement, never realizing that this very language ensures their manifestation remains gradual and progressive. But you who have been prepared for this message, are ready to understand that the language of instant manifestation is the language of immediate possession. You see, while others fill their minds with words that imply future fulfillment, you are being awakened to the truth that the only language that accelerates manifestation is the language of present fulfillment. When you speak to yourself, every word must assume the tone of already being what you desire to be. The very fact that these words find such resonance within you is evidence that you have evolved beyond the basic understanding of manifestation. You are ready to speak to yourself with the natural authority of one who knows that consciousness is the only reality. You see, while many believe they must set aside specific times for their manifestation practice, you are being awakened to the truth that every moment of self-talk is a moment of creation. The key to accelerated manifestation lies in maintaining constant awareness of your inner dialogue. Consider this eternal principle. When you allow gaps in your conscious self-talk, you allow doubt and contrary thoughts to seep in. This is why those who maintain consistent, aligned self-talk throughout their day manifest with such remarkable speed and precision. I tell you with absolute authority, the power to accelerate manifestation tenfold lies not in occasional bursts of powerful affirmations, but in the constant and natural self-talk that assumes your desire is already fulfilled. Every moment of consciousness is a moment of creation. Now let us understand something that few will grasp, but that your deeper self knows to be true. The very pauses between your conscious self-talk are often filled with unconscious contrary thoughts. This is why maintaining aware, deliberate self throughout your day is crucial for rapid manifestation. Most will continue to treat their self-talk as intermittent practice, never realizing that the gaps between their conscious affirmations are filled with unconscious negations. But you who have been drawn to these words by divine law, are ready to understand that effective self-talk must be as constant as breathing. You see, while others reserve their manifestation practice for designated times, you are being awakened to the truth that every word you speak to yourself, whether in focused practice or casual thought, is either accepting or rejecting your desired state. There are no neutral thoughts. The very fact that you can grasp these principles is evidence that you have evolved beyond the surface understanding of manifestation. You are ready to maintain the kind of consistent, conscious self-talk that collapses time and accelerates manifestation. Now let me reveal to you something so vital about the tone and texture of your self-talk that it will revolutionize your manifestation practice. The emotional quality with which you speak to yourself is the very frequency that determines the speed of manifestation. You see, while many focus solely on the words they speak to themselves, you are being awakened to the truth that it is the feeling tone behind your words that carries the real creative power. This is why some manifest instantly while others repeat the same words endlessly without results. Consider this divine principle when you speak to yourself with the natural confidence and ease of one who knows their desire is already fulfilled. You generate a frequency in consciousness that must, by eternal law, produce rapid manifestation. This is the secret of tenfold acceleration. I tell you with complete certainty, the difference between slow and rapid manifestation lies not in the words themselves, but in the feeling state from which they emerge. When you speak to yourself from a state of absolute knowing, rather than hoping or wanting or collapsed time in conscious. Now let us understand something that the logical mind might resist, but that the awakened mind embraces fully. Every word you speak to yourself carries a specific vibrational quality. This vibration either aligns with your desire fulfilled or perpetuates a state of wanting and waiting. Most will continue to speak to themselves with an undertone of doubt, of questioning, of uncertainty, never realizing that this very emotional texture ensures their manifestation remains slow and uncertain. But you who have been prepared for this message, are ready to understand that your thought must carry the absolute conviction of present possession. You see, while others speak to themselves with the emotional texture of need and want, you are being awakened to the truth that the feeling tone of your self-talk must be one of calm, natural acceptance. When you speak to yourself as though your desire is already yours, with the same casual certainty with which you know your own name, you accelerate manifestation tenfold. The very fact that these words resonate within you is evidence that you have evolved beyond the basic understanding of manifestation. You are ready to speak to yourself with the emotional texture of one who knows that consciousness is the only reality. You see, while many struggle to maintain consistent self-talk throughout their day, you are being awakened to the truth that it is the unbroken nature of your inner dialogue that creates accelerated manifestation. Every moment you speak to yourself either strengthens or weakens your desired state. Consider this eternal principle when your self-talk naturally and consistently flows from the consciousness of your wish fulfilled without gaps or contradictions. You create a momentum in consciousness that must manifest with increasing speed. This is the secret of tenfold acceleration. I tell you with absolute conviction, the power to manifest rapidly lies not in occasional powerful statements, but in the consistent, natural flow of self-talk that assumes your desire as an accomplished fact. It is this unbroken chain of aligned consciousness that collapses time. Now, let us understand something that few will grasp, but that your soul will recognize as truth. Every time your self-talk wavers from the consciousness of fulfillment, you create a ripple of doubt that must be overcome. This is why persistence in your inner conversation is crucial for rapid manifestation. Most will continue to allow their self-talk to fluctuate between states of having and wanting, never realizing that this very inconsistency creates the experience of delayed manifestation. But you who have been drawn to these words by divine law, are ready to understand that your self-talk must maintain an unwavering assumption of fulfillment. You see, while others treat their self-talk as something to be practiced occasionally, you are being awakened to the truth that it is the consistent, natural flow of inner conversation aligned with your desire that creates accelerated manifestation. Every moment of consciousness is either strengthening or weakening your assumption. The very fact that you can feel the truth of these words is evidence that you have evolved beyond the surface understanding of manifestation. You are ready to maintain the kind of persistent, aligned self-talk that collapses time and accelerates manifestation. Now, as we bring these eternal principles to their culmination, let me share with you the final and perhaps most crucial truth about accelerated manifestation through self-talk. The very consciousness from which you speak these final words must be the same consciousness from which you will continue to speak to yourself. You see, while many will leave this message and return to their old patterns of self-talk, you are being awakened to the truth that this moment marks not an ending, but a beginning, the beginning of a new way of speaking to yourself that must, by eternal law, accelerate all manifestation. Consider this final principle. The very fact that you have remained attentive through these revelations proves that you are ready to maintain the kind of self-talk that creates rapid, consistent manifestation. Your consciousness has been prepared for this transformation. I tell you with absolute finality, the words you speak to yourself from this moment forward must carry the same authority, the same conviction, the same consciousness of fulfillment that you have felt while receiving these truths. For this is the self-talk that manifests desires tenfold faster. Now understand this ultimate truth that binds all we have discussed. Your self-talk is not preparation for having your desire. It is the very substance of having it. Every word you speak to yourself from this moment forward must emerge from the consciousness of fulfilled desire. Most will leave such teachings and gradually slip back into their old patterns of self-talk. But you who have been prepared by divine law to receive these words, are ready to maintain this new pattern of inner conversation that assumes the tone and texture of desires fulfilled. You see, while others may treat these principles as mere information to be remembered, you are being awakened to the truth that they must become the very foundation of your inner dialogue. Every word you speak to yourself must now carry the conviction of these eternal truths. The very fact that you have remained present through these revelations is evidence that you have evolved beyond the basic understanding of manifestation. You are ready to speak to yourself with the natural authority of one who knows that consciousness is the only reality. Remember, from this moment forward, your self-talk must maintain the same quality of conscious assumption that you have felt while receiving these truths. For in doing so, you collapse time and accelerate manifestation tenfold. Go forth now, not as one who has merely learned about powerful self-talk, but as one who has become the embodiment of it. Let every word you speak to yourself carry the texture of fulfillment, the tone of possession, the natural ease of one who knows their desires are already accomplished facts in consciousness. For you have not just received information about how to speak to yourself, you have been awakened to the consciousness from which effective self-talk must flow. Let every word you speak to yourself from this moment and forward emerge from the same consciousness of fulfillment. And know this with unwavering certainty, the very consciousness that allowed you to receive these words is the consciousness from which you must now speak to yourself. For this is not the end of a teaching, but the beginning of a new way of being, a way that manifests desires with the speed of thought itself. For consciousness is the only reality, and the consciousness from which you speak to yourself is the consciousness that creates your world. Go forth now and speak to yourself with the authority of one who knows that their words are the pure thoughts, but the very substance of creation itself. When I tell you to act as if you are the best, I'm not speaking of arrogance or comparison with others. I'm speaking of recognizing and embodying your divine nature. For you are God's own image and likeness made manifest in flesh. Many of you come to these lectures believing that others are better than you, more talented than you, more deserving than you. But I tell you this, such beliefs are nothing but assumed limitations. And like all assumptions, they can be changed in a single moment of understanding. Consider this: when Scripture says, I am that I am, it's revealing the fundamental truth of your being. You are not becoming the best, you are the best. Your only task is to recognize and assume this truth until it becomes your living reality. Let me share with you what I mean by acting as if you are the best. It's not about competing with others or proving your superiority. It's about assuming the state of being the person you desire to be, knowing that no one can prevent you from expressing your highest conception of yourself. When you truly grasp that consciousness is the only reality, you understand that your concept of self determines everything you experience. If you assume others are better than you, the universe must conform to provide experiences that confirm this assumption. If you assume you are the best, the universe must, and I emphasize must, reorganize itself to reflect this assumption back to you. Here's a profound truth that few understand. Your present concept of self, the one that makes you feel less than others, is just as much a step as the one I'm asking you to adopt. You weren't born believing others were better than you. You learned to assume this through experience and accepted it as truth. Changing this assumption requires a complete revision of your self-concept. You must begin to live from the assumption that you are the best, not through comparison with others, but through the recognition of your divine nature. For when I say you are the best, I'm speaking of your true identity as pure consciousness. Let me share with you what happens in consciousness when you truly assume you are the best. First, all sense of competition falls away. When you know you are the best, you don't need to prove it to anyone. You don't need to diminish others to elevate yourself. You simply are, and that knowing is enough. Many of you make the mistake of trying to become the best through effort and struggle. But I tell you this, you cannot become what you already are. Your task is not to become the best, but to recognize and assume that you already are the best. This is what Scripture means when it says, "Be still and know that I am God." Consider this. Everything you're experiencing now, every limitation, every feeling of being less than others, is simply the harvested fruit of your past assumptions. The universe has been faithfully reflecting back to you what you have assumed about yourself. If you've assumed others are better, the universe has provided evidence to support this assumption. But here is the liberating truth. You can change this pattern in a single moment by assuming a new concept of self. When you assume you are the best, the universe has no choice but to rearrange itself to reflect this new assumption. This is law, and the law never fails. Let me tell you something about assuming you are the best. It has nothing to do with ego or pride. It's about recognizing your divine nature and allowing it to express through you. When you truly assume this state, you naturally want others to recognize and express their divine nature as well. This is why the command is to love your neighbor as yourself. When you truly recognize your own divine nature, you automatically get others. In others, you don't need to compete with them, because you understand that their success doesn't diminish your own greatness. Expressing your divine nature means living from the assumption that you are the best version of yourself right now, in this moment. Not tomorrow, not when circumstances change, but now. For in consciousness, where all creation takes place, there is no waiting, no becoming, there is only being. Let me share with you a principle that many find difficult to accept. Your current circumstances have no power to prevent you from assuming you are the best. Your bank account, your education, your background, your past failures, none of these can stop you from assuming a new concept of self. They are merely shadows of past assumptions. Many of you say, "But Neville, how can I assume I'm the best when others are more qualified, more successful, more experienced?" I tell you this, these comparisons exist only in your imagination. And if they exist in your imagination, they can be revised in your imagination. For imagination creates reality. Consider this. Every great individual who ever lived first assumed their greatness before it became visible to others. They didn't wait for circumstances to make them great. They assumed their greatness, and circumstances had to conform to their assumption. This is the law. When you truly assume you are the best, something remarkable happens in consciousness. All sense of strain, all need to prove yourself, all fear of competition falls away. You begin to move through life with a confidence that needs no external validation. Let me tell you something about this state of being the best. It's not about being better than others. It's about being better than your previous concept of yourself. When you assume this state, you naturally inspire others to rise to their best as well. For when one rises, all rise. Here's a profound truth about assuming you are the best. The universe cannot give you less than what you assume for yourself. If you assume mediocrity, the universe must provide experiences of mediocrity. If you assume excellence, the universe must provide experiences of excellence. Assuming excellence means occupying the state of being excellent in your imagination until it becomes your dominant feeling. Not just during meditation or visualization, but in every moment of your daily life. Your every thought, your every action, your every reaction must spring from this new assumption. Let me share with you what happens when you truly assume you are the best. Your walk changes, your talk changes, your posture changes, not through conscious effort, but as a natural expression of your new self-concept. The universe must then reshape itself to match this new expression. Many of you make the mistake of trying to act confident while maintaining an inner feeling of inadequacy. But I tell you this, the universe responds not to your outer actions, but to your inner feeling tone. You must feel your excellence in the very depths of your being. Consider this right now, in this very moment, there are infinite states of consciousness available to you. The state of being the best already exists, complete and perfect. Your task is not to create this state, but to occupy it through your assumption. When you assume you are the best, you stop seeking approval from others. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop making excuses for why you can't succeed. These behaviors cannot exist in the consciousness of one who truly knows their own excellence. Let me tell you something crucial about maintaining this state. You will be tested. The world of Caesar will present you with evidence that seems to contradict your assumption. Old circumstances, old relationships, old patterns will persist for a time. This is law. But here's the secret. These circumstances have no power except the power you give them through your reaction. If you maintain your assumption of being the best despite contrary evidence, that very evidence must change to match your assumption. Handling contrary evidence is where most people falter in their assumption of being the best. When circumstances seem to deny your assumption, when others doubt you, when results don't immediately appear, this is when you must stand most firmly in your conviction. Let me share with you a principle that has proven itself countless times. The outer world will continue to reflect your old concept of self for a time. This is not a denial of your new assumption. It is an opportunity to strengthen it. Every circumstance that seems to deny your excellence is actually an opportunity to prove your assumption. Many of you abandon your assumption of being the best at the first sign of failure or criticism. But I tell you this, those very failures, those very criticisms, when met with unwavering assumption of your excellence, become the building blocks of your success. For what you persist in assuming must become your reality. Consider this. When you truly know you are the best, failure becomes impossible. You may face temporary setbacks, but in your consciousness, these are merely stepping stones to your inevitable success. This is how the great ones think. And this is how you must think if you would assume your greatness. The universe responds not to what others think of you, not to your past performance, not to your current circumstances, but to your persistent assumption. If you maintain the feeling of being the best despite all evidence to the contrary, the universe must, and I emphasize must, reorganize itself to match your assumption. Let me tell you something about persistence in your assumption. It's not about duration in time, but about the intensity of conviction. One moment of complete acceptance of your excellence is worth more than years of half-hearted affirmations. The universe responds not to time, but to the intensity of your assumption. Here's a profound truth about maintaining your assumption. You don't maintain it by fighting against current conditions. You maintain it by remaining so centered in your excellence that current conditions become irrelevant. Just as light doesn't fight darkness, it simply shines. You don't fight against limitations. You simply radiate excellence. Radiating excellence comes from a deep inner conviction that transcends all external circumstances. When you truly assume you are the best, this assumption radiates from you naturally, without effort, without strain, without trying to convince others. It becomes as natural as breathing. Let me share with you what I mean by radiating excellence. When you wake in the morning, before you even open your eyes, feel the naturalness of being the best. Not with excitement or enthusiasm, but with the quiet certainty of knowing who you really are. This feeling should be as natural as knowing your own name. Many of you try to radiate excellence through outer actions, through your clothes, your possessions, your achievements. But I tell you this, true excellence radiates from within. It's not something you do, it's something you are. The outer manifestations will follow naturally when your inner assumption is secure. Consider this, everything in your world right now is a reflection of your past radiation. If you've been radiating doubt, uncertainty, or feelings of inadequacy, the universe has faithfully reflected these back to you. The universe can only reflect what you radiate from within. When you truly radiate excellence, something remarkable happens. Others begin to recognize and respond to it. Not because you're trying to impress them, but because they can't help but respond to the conviction you carry within. This is why Scripture says, let your light so shine before men. Let me tell you something vital about radiating excellence. It must be consistent. You cannot radiate excellence for an hour and then return to radiating doubt and limitation. The universe responds to your predominant radiation, not to your occasional moments of feeling confident. Here's a profound truth about radiation. It affects everything in your world. When you truly radiate excellence, every person you meet, every circumstance you encounter must adjust itself to match your radiation. This is law, and the law never fails. Your radiation affects your world in ways that your logical mind could never conceive. When you consistently radiate the feeling of being the best, the entire universe must, and I emphasize must, rearrange itself to reflect this radiation back to you in the form of corresponding circumstances, events, and relationships. Let me share with you what happens when you maintain this radiation of excellent radiation. People who previously doubted you begin to see you differently. Opportunities that seemed close to you suddenly appear. Circumstances that appeared limiting begin to transform. Not because you're manipulating the outer world, but because your radiation is creating a new world. Many of you ask how long it will take for your world to reflect your new radiation. But I tell you this, time is not a factor in consciousness. The moment you achieve a complete conviction of being the best, the entire universe begins its reorganization. The time it takes for this to become visible depends solely on the intensity of your conviction. Consider this right now in this very moment. There are infinite versions of you existing simultaneously. There's a version where you're struggling, a version where you're succeeding, a version where you're the absolute best in your field. Your radiation determines which version you experience. When you truly understand this, you stop trying to compete with others. You realize that your only competition is with your previous concept of self. The only person you need to be better than is who you were yesterday. And this improvement comes not through strain or effort, but through assuming a higher concept of self. Let me tell you something about this radiation of excellence. It must become your natural state. Just as you don't think about breathing, you shouldn't have to think about being the best. It should be your default state, your natural way of being in the world. Here's a profound truth about maintaining this radiation. You don't maintain it by affirming it or by trying to convince others. You maintain it by living from it, by making it so much a part of your consciousness that you can't conceive of being any other way. Living from the state of being the best means making it your constant dwelling place in consciousness. Just as you naturally live in your physical home without constantly reminding yourself that it's your home, you must naturally live in the consciousness of being the best without constant mental effort. Let me share with you what happens when you truly live from this state. Your decisions change, your choices change, your responses to challenges change, not because you're trying to act differently, but because these new behaviors are the natural expression of your new state of consciousness. Many of you try to live from this state for a few hours or days, then slip back into your old patterns of thinking. But I tell you this, you must make a complete and permanent move into this new state. You must burn the bridges to your old concept of self. There can be no going back, no visiting your old limitations. Consider this, every great achievement in human history came from someone who dared to live from the state of being the best. They didn't wait until circumstances confirmed their greatness. They assumed their greatness first. And circumstances had no choice but to conform to their assumption. When you truly live from the state of being the best, criticism cannot touch you, not because you've become immune to it, but because you're living in a state where criticism is irrelevant. Just as a king doesn't defend his right to the throne, you don't defend your excellence, you simply live from it. Let me tell you something vital about living from this state. It requires no effort once you're truly established in it. Just as it requires no effort to be who you currently believe yourself to be, it requires no effort to be the best once you fully assume that state. Here's a profound truth about living from the state of being the best. It transforms not just your future, but your past as well. When you fully occupy the state, you begin to see how every past experience, even the seemingly negative ones, contributed to your excellence. Many of you believe that being the best means constantly striving, constantly pushing, constantly competing. But I tell you this, true excellence comes from a state of being, not from doing. When you occupy the state of being the best, your actions flow naturally from that state without strain or effort. Consider this right now. You're living from some concept of self. This concept might be that you're average, that others are better, that you need to struggle to succeed. And the universe has faithfully reflected this concept back to you. But I tell you this, you can shift to a new concept of self in a single moment of understanding. When you truly grasp that being the best is your natural state, your divine inheritance, something remarkable happens. All the energy you've been using to compete, to prove yourself, to overcome limitations becomes available for creative expression. You stop trying to become and simply allow yourself to be. Let me tell you something about this state of being the best. It's not about superiority over others. It's about expressing your highest potential, about being the best version of yourself. When you truly occupy this state, you naturally want others to recognize and express their excellence as well. Here's a profound truth about living as the best. It's the most natural thing in the world once you understand your true identity. You are God's own imagination made manifest. How could you be anything less than the best? Any limitation you experience is simply a limitation you've accepted in imagination. Accepting your true identity as the best version of yourself requires a complete revision of everything you've believed about who you are. You must understand that your current concept of self, with all its limitations and doubts, is just as much an assumed state as the one I'm asking you to adopt. Let me share with you what happens when you fully accept your true identity. First, all sense of unworthiness falls away. You stop questioning whether you deserve success, whether you're good enough, whether you can achieve your goals. You know with absolute certainty that excellence is your natural state. Many of you have lived so long with a limited concept of self that being the best seems like an impossible dream. But I tell you this, that very feeling of impossibility is itself an assumption. And like all assumptions, it can be changed in a single moment through the power of your wonderful human imagination. Consider this. Every limitation you now accept, every feeling of being less than the best, is nothing more than a habit of consciousness. And habits, no matter how long established, can be changed through persistent assumption of a new state. This is law, and the law never fails. When you truly accept your identity as the best, your entire world must reshape itself to match this new self-concept. People who once intimidated you will find themselves responding to your new radiation. Circumstances that seem beyond your reach will naturally align themselves with your new assumption. Let me tell you something vital about maintaining this new identity. You don't maintain it through willpower or positive thinking. You maintain it through understanding. Once you truly understand that being the best is your natural state, you can no more doubt it than you can doubt your own existence. Here's a profound truth about your true identity. It's not something you need to create or achieve. It already exists, complete and perfect, waiting for you to step into it through assumption. Your only task is to accept it, to occupy it, to live from it. Many of you fluctuate between being excellent and feeling inadequate, depending on external circumstances. But I tell you this, such fluctuation is impossible when you truly occupy the state of being the best. Just as a king doesn't stop being a king during challenges, you don't stop being excellent when facing obstacles. Consider this, every experience you encounter is simply an opportunity to express your excellence. Even apparent failures become opportunities to demonstrate your unshakable conviction in your own greatness. For when you live from the state of being the best, failure becomes impossible. When you truly live from this identity, something remarkable happens to your relationship with time. You stop waiting to become excellent in the future and start expressing excellence now. For in consciousness, where all creation takes place, there is no waiting, no becoming, there is only being. Let me tell you something crucial about maintaining this state. The world will test your conviction. It must, for this is law. Old circumstances, old relationships, old patterns of failure will persist for a time. But these are not obstacles to your assumption. They are opportunities to strengthen it. Here's a profound truth about living from your true identity. It requires no effort once you're established in it. Just as you don't need effort to be who you currently believe yourself to be. You need no effort to be the best once you've fully accepted this as your true identity. Uncovering your natural excellence is like removing layers of dust from a perfect mirror. The brilliance was always there. It was merely covered by accumulated beliefs in limitation, doubt, and unworthiness. As you remove these false beliefs, your natural excellence shines forth with ever-increasing clarity. Let me share with you what happens when these layers of limitation begin to fall away. First, you stop seeking validation from others. You stop needing external confirmation of your excellence. You know who you are with such certainty that no external opinion can shake your conviction. Many of you have accumulated so many layers of limiting beliefs that your natural excellence seems like a distant dream. But I tell you this, these limitations are no more permanent than dust on a mirror. They can be wiped away in an instant through the power of your assumption. Consider this, every limiting belief you now hold, every doubt about your excellence, every fear of inadequacy was learned. And what can be learned can be unlearned. Your task is not to create excellence, but to remove the barriers to its expression. When you truly begin this process of uncovering your excellence, something remarkable happens to your entire worldview. You start to see that every circumstance, every relationship, every experience has been serving to reveal your true nature. Even your apparent failures have been leading you to this recognition. Let me tell you something crucial about this uncovering process. It happens not through effort, but through understanding. The moment you truly understand that excellence is your natural state, the layers of limitation begin to fall away of the occasion. Here's a profound truth about uncovering your excellence. The process is instantaneous in consciousness, but may appear gradual in manifestation. The moment you fully accept your true identity, the entire universe begins its reorganization to reflect this truth. The time it takes for this to become visible depends solely on the completeness of your acceptance. The process of accepting your natural excellence requires a complete revision of your self-concept. You must be willing to release every belief, every idea, every concept that contradicts your true identity as the best. This is not something you do gradually. It must be absolute and complete. Let me share with you what happens when this acceptance becomes total. First, all internal conflict ceases. The battle between who you think you should be and who you think you are ends completely. There is only the quiet certainty of knowing your true identity as the best. Many of you try to accept your excellence while still holding on to doubts and limitations. But I tell you this, such partial acceptance is no acceptance at all. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot live from the state of being the best while maintaining a backup identity of limitation. Consider this. Your current concept of self, with all its limitations and doubts, is just as much an assumed state as the one I'm asking you to adopt. The only difference is that you've practiced your current concept longer. But time is no factor in consciousness. A new state, fully accepted, becomes just as natural as any long-held belief. When you truly accept your excellence without reservation, something remarkable happens to your entire experience of life. What once seemed like obstacles become opportunities. What once seemed like competition becomes irrelevant. What once seemed like limitations become launching pads for greater expression. Let me tell you something vital about this acceptance. It must be unconditional. You can accept your excellence only when circumstances support it. You must maintain this acceptance regardless of external conditions, knowing that conditions must conform to your consciousness, not the other way around. Here's a profound truth about complete acceptance. It transforms not just your future, but your past as well. When you fully accept your excellence, you begin to see how every past experience, even the seemingly negative ones, was perfectly designed to lead you to this recognition. Let us begin by understanding that wealth, in its truest essence, is not about the accumulation of material possessions or the numbers in your bank account. True wealth is a state of being, a consciousness of abundance that permeates every aspect of your life. As I have always taught, your imagination is the God in man. And it is through your imagination that you can assume the state of wealth and bring it into your physical reality. Now you might ask, Neville, how do we act as if we are wealthy? How do we cultivate this consciousness of abundance? The answer, my beloved friends, lies in the understanding and application of the law of assumption. For you see, to act as if you are wealthy is not about pretending or deceiving yourself, but about assuming the natural state of abundance that is your birthright. Imagine, if you will, the wealthiest version of yourself. See this version of you moving through life with ease and confidence, free from financial worries, generously sharing your abundance, and living a life of purpose and fulfillment. Feel the peace, the joy, the sense of security that this wealthy self possesses. This is not a fantasy, my dear ones, but a reality that exists in the realm of infinite possibilities. Your task is to bring this reality into your present experience through the power of assumption. As you assume the state of being wealthy, you must maintain unwavering faith in this new self-concept. Remember, faith is nothing more than loyalty to unseen realities. The wealthy version of you exists, even if your physical senses cannot yet perceive it. Your faith in this unseen reality is what will bridge the gap between your current state and your desired state of wealth. Now, let us delve deeper into the practical application of acting as if you are wealthy through the law of assumption. The first step is to clearly define what wealth means to you. Perhaps financial freedom, the ability to travel the world, the power to make a difference in others' lives, or simply the peace of mind that comes with abundance. Whatever wealth means to you, define it with clarity and precision. Once you have identified your personal definition of wealth, create a vivid mental image of yourself embodying this state of wealth. See yourself confidently making financial decisions, generously giving to causes you care about, enjoying luxurious experiences, or simply living each day free from financial stress. Visualize yourself moving through the world with the ease and grace of someone who knows that abundance is their natural state. As you create these mental images, remember that you are not merely daydreaming or engaging in wishful thinking. You are, in fact, entering into the very state of consciousness that will manifest these realities in your physical experience. For consciousness is the only reality, and what you assume is true in your imagination must inevitably express itself in your outer world. Now, my dear friends, I must emphasize that this practice of assumption is not a one-time event, but a continuous process. Just as you would not expect a seed to grow into a mighty oak overnight, you must not expect instant results in your journey of embodying wealth. The key is persistence and patience. Each day, take time to enter into the state of consciousness of your wealthy self. Feel the naturalness of being this person. Experience the joy, the peace, the sense of abundance that comes with living a wealthy life. As you persist in this practice, you will find that your outer actions begin to align with this inner state. You may notice that you naturally begin to make choices that support your wealthy self-concept. You might find yourself drawn to opportunities for financial growth, feeling inspired to learn about investments, or experiencing a newfound confidence in your ability to create and manage wealth. These are not coincidences, my beloved, but the natural outward expressions of your inner assumption. Remember, the outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state. As you assume the state of being wealthy, the universe must rearrange itself to match this assumption. This is the law, and the law always works. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, what about my current financial situation? What if I'm struggling with debt or limited income? To this I say, do not be discouraged by temporary circumstances. They are merely the shadows of past thinking, and they hold no power over your future unless you give them that power through your attention and belief. When you encounter financial challenges, return to your practice of assumption. Step once again into the consciousness of your wealthy self. Feel the abundance, the security, the unwavering knowing that all your needs are met and more. From this state of consciousness, you will find the inner resources to overcome any financial obstacle. Moreover, understand that true wealth is not about hoarding resources or living in excess. It is about cultivating a state of abundance that allows you to live shyly and generously. Your wealthy self is not a means of counting coins, but a channel through which abundance flows, blessing both yourself and others. As you continue on this journey of acting as if you are wealthy, you may find that your definition of wealth itself evolves. What once seemed like unattainable luxury may transform into a natural expression of your abundant nature. This is the magic of living from the end being the state of consciousness of your ideal wealthy self. Now let us explore another crucial aspect of acting as if you are wealthy, the power of your self-talk. The words you speak to yourself, both silently and aloud, shape your self-concept and, consequently, your reality. To embody wealth, you must cultivate wealthy thinking and speaking. Begin to speak to yourself as if you were already the wealthiest version of yourself. Instead of saying, I can't afford that, affirm, I choose to allocate and resources differently. Rather than lamenting, I never have enough money, declare, I am constantly attracting wealth and abundance into my life. These are not mere positive affirmations, my dear ones. They are declarations of your true state of being, which your outer world must inevitably reflect. As you reshape your self-talk, you are literally reprogramming your subconscious mind. And it is from the subconscious that all your financial behaviors and habits spring forth. By consistently speaking to yourself as a wealthy individual, you are planting seeds in the fertile soil of your subconscious, seeds that will grow into the fruits of financial abundance in your life. Remember, my beloved friends, that your every word is a decree going forth to shape your reality. Therefore, choose your words wisely. Speak of yourself and your life in terms of abundance, prosperity, and wealth. As you do so, you will find that your actions naturally begin to align with these words. Now let us address a common misconception about acting as if you are wealthy. Many believe that this practice requires spending money recklessly or pretending to have resources you don't possess. But I tell you, true wealth consciousness is not about external displays, but about an inner knowledge of your infinite worth and the abundance that is your birthright. Think of it this way. Does a king need to constantly assert his kingship? Does a millionaire need to prove their wealth to others? No, they simply are who they are, confident in their state of being. In the same way, when you fully embody the consciousness of your wealthy self, you need not prove anything to anyone. Your wealth becomes a natural, unquestionable aspect of who you are. This is why the practice of assumption is so crucial. By consistently assuming the state of your wealthy self, you are not pretending to be wealthy, but allowing your natural state of abundance to express itself through you. As you continue on this journey of acting as if you are wealthy, you may encounter moments of doubt or uncertainty, especially when faced with financial challenges. In these moments, I urge you to return to the fundamental truth. You are not seeking to become something you are not. You are simply awakening to the wealthy being you have always been beneath the surface of limiting beliefs and circumstances. Your task is not to create wealth, but to uncover and express the abundance that is inherent in your divine nature. For you are made in the image of God, and God is the very embodiment of infinite abundance and prosperity. Now let us explore the role of imagination in acting as if you are wealthy. Your imagination is not merely a tool for idle fantasy, but the very workshop in which you forge counter reality. Use your imagination deliberately and consistently to reinforce your wealthy self-concept. Each night as you lay down to sleep, imagine a scene that implies you are living as your wealthy self. Perhaps you see of making a significant charitable donation, or you feel the satisfaction of achieving a major financial goal. Make this imaginal scene as vivid and real as possible. Engage all your senses. Feel the emotions associated with this expression of wealth. As you fall asleep in this state, you are impressing your subconscious mind with the reality of your wealthy nature. And it is from the subconscious that all change begins. Your subconscious mind, impressed with new self-concept, will work tirelessly through the night to align your outer world with this inner truth. Remember, it is not a period of inactivity, but a time when your subconscious mind is most receptive to new impressions. By falling asleep in the consciousness of your wealthy self, you are planting seeds that will bear fruit in your waking life. As you awaken each morning, take a moment to recall and enter the state of consciousness of your wealthy self before you begin your day. Feel the confidence, the sense of security, the joy that comes with being this version of you. From this state of consciousness, you will naturally make choices and take actions aligned with your wealthy nature throughout the day. Now, my dear friends, I want to address a question that may be arising in the base. What about hard work and effort? Isn't wealth about earning and saving? To this I say, true wealth transcends the traditional concepts of earning and saving. When you operate from the state of being your wealthy self, opportunities for financial growth naturally present themselves. And wise financial decisions flow effortlessly from your state of abundance consciousness. Think of it this way. Does a tree need to strain to produce fruit? Does the sun need to exert effort to shine? No, these are natural expressions of their essential nature. In the same way, when you fully embody the consciousness of yourself, financial abundance becomes unsolved. This is not to say that you will never take action or make efforts towards your financial goals. But when these actions spring from a state of abundance consciousness, they feel joyful and inspired rather than burdensome or driven by fear of lack. As you continue to act as if you are wealthy through the law of assumption, you may notice changes not only in your financial situation, but in your entire perception of the world. You may find that opportunities for financial growth seem to present themselves more frequently. You may notice that people respond to you differently, perhaps with a respect or a desire to collaborate on profit or borrow. These changes are not coincidences, my beloved. They are the natural result of your shifted state of consciousness. As you assume the state of being wealthy, the entire universe must rearrange itself to match this assumption. This is the power you wield as a creative being made in the image of God. Let us delve into another crucial aspect of acting as if you are wealthy, the power of your emotional state. So emotions are the fuel that powers your assumptions and manifestations. To embody lasting wealth, you must cultivate the emotional state associated with being a wealthy individual. What does it feel like to be wealthy? Perhaps you feel a sense of security, of freedom, of expansiveness. Maybe you experience a deep sense of gratitude, knowing that you have more than enough to meet your needs and desires. Whatever these feelings are for you, begin to cultivate them deliberately. Throughout your day, take moments to check in with your emotional state. If you find yourself feeling anxious about money, worried about bills, or envious of others' wealth, pause and consciously shift into the emotional state of your wealthy self. Feel the abundance, the security, the joy that this version of you embodies. Remember, your emotional state is not dependent on your external circumstances. It is a choice you make moment by moment. By consistently choosing the emotional state of your wealthy self, you are reinforcing this state of being and making it your new normal. As you master the art of assuming the emotional state of your wealthy self, you will find that abundant thoughts and actions flow naturally from this state. You won't need to force yourself to make wise financial decisions or resist impulses of lack. The right choices will feel natural and effortless because they align with your assumed state of being. Now, my dear friends, I want to address a common concern that arises on the journey of embodying wealth. Many of you may worry about maintaining this state of wealth consciousness in the face of financial setbacks or unexpected expenses. But I tell you this, true wealth consciousness is not about the absence of financial challenges, but about your response to them. If you find yourself slipping into old patterns of lack-based thinking when faced with a financial hurdle, do not despair. Do not judge or criticize yourself. Simply observe without emotion, and then gently return to the state of consciousness of your wealthy self. Remember, every moment is a new opportunity to choose again, to reassume the state of being you desire. In fact, these moments of apparent financial stress are not setbacks at all, but opportunities for growth and deepening of your wealth consciousness. They allow you to practice returning to your desired state, strengthening your ability to maintain this state in the face of challenges. As you continue on this journey of acting as if you are wealthy, you may find that your entire concept of money begins to shift. The wealthy individual understands that money is not a limited resource to be hoarded, but a flow of energy that responds to consciousness. When you are fully aligned with your wealthy self, you may notice that money comes to you in unexpected ways. Opportunities for income may arise from surprising sources. This is not because the nature of money itself has changed, but because your relationship with money has transformed to your shifted state of consciousness. Moreover, the truly wealthy individual understands that wealth is not just about accumulation, but about circulation. As you embody wealth consciousness, you may find yourself inspired to give generously, to invest in others, to use your resources in ways that create value and abundance for all. This circulation of wealth not only blesses others, but also reinforces your own state of abundance. Now, as we near the conclusion of our exploration of acting as if you are wealthy, I want to remind you of a fundamental truth. The outer world is yourself pushed out. As you embody wealth within, you will find that your external circumstances naturally align to support your wealthy nature. You may notice that your environment begins to reflect your inner abundance. Opportunities for financial growth may seem to multiply. People may be drawn to your newfound sense of prosperity and seek to engage with you in mutually beneficial ways. These changes are not coincidences, my beloved. They are the natural outpicturing of your inner state. As within, so without. As you continue to assume the state of being wealthy, watch in wonder as your outer world transforms to match the inner reality. Remember, my dear friends, that this journey of acting as if you are wealthy is not about becoming something you are not. It is about awakening to the abundant being. You have always been beneath the surface of fleece of limiting beliefs and financial circumstances. You are not creating wealth, but uncovering and expressing the wealth that is inherent in your divine nature. As we conclude our time together, I urge you to go forth and apply these principles in your daily life. Assume the state of being your wealthiest self. Feel it, live it, breathe it. Let every thought, word, and action spring from this state of being. Know that as you do this, you are not only transforming your own life, but contributing to the elevation of all humanity. For as you express your wealthy nature, you inspire others to do the same. You become a living testament to the power of assumption and the law of consciousness. My beloved friends, you have within you all that you need to embody true wealth. You are the operant power, the God in man. Go forth and express it in your life. Live from the end, embodying the wealthy being you desire to be. And remember, no matter what appearances may suggest, hold fast to your assumption. For your assumption, if persisted in, will harden into fact. The wealthy life you imagine is not a distant possibility, but a present reality waiting to be claimed. In closing, I want to emphasize that acting as if you are wealthy is not about arrogance or superiority. True wealth brings with it a deep sense of humility and gratitude. As you embody your wealthy self, cultivate a spirit of thankfulness for all that you have and all that is coming to you. Begin each day with a heart full of gratitude. Give thanks for the abundance that surrounds you, even if it's not yet visible to your physical eyes. Thank the universe for the wealth that is flowing to you, for the opportunities that are unfolding, for the prosperity that is your natural state. This attitude of gratitude is not merely a nice sentiment. It is a powerful force that aligns you even more fully with the state of wealth you are assuming. For in giving thanks for what you have, you open yourself to receive even more. As you move through your day, look for evidence of wealth and abundance all around you. Appreciate the beauty of nature, the kindness of strangers, the opportunities for growth and learning that surround you. These too are forms of wealth, often overlooked but infinitely valuable. Remember, my dear ones, that wealth is not just about money. It encompasses richness in all areas of life, in relationships, in health, in experiences, in personal growth. As you act as if you are wealthy, allow this sense of abundance to permeate every aspect of your being. You see yourself as a conduit for wealth and abundance, not just for yourself, but for all those around you. Visualize wealth flowing through you, blessing your life and the lives of others. For true wealth is not diminished by sharing, rather it multiplies. As you interact with others, do so from your state of wealth consciousness. Treat everyone with kindness and respect, regardless of their apparent financial status. For in the realm of true wealth, all are equal, all are deserving of abundance. If you encounter those who seem to be struggling financially, do not pity them or see them as less fortunate. Instead, see the divine abundance within them waiting to be awakened. Your recognition of their inherent wealth can be a powerful catalyst for their own transformation. In your business dealings and financial transactions, operate from a place of integrity and abundance. Know that there is more than enough for everyone. Avoid the temptation to engage in scarcity-based thinking or unfair practices. True wealth consciousness knows that prosperity comes from creating value, not from taking advantage of others. As you make financial decisions, do so from the perspective of your wealthy self. Ask yourself, what would my wealthy self do in this situation? This doesn't mean being reckless or extravagant, but rather making choices aligned with your highest good and your state of abundance. If you find yourself hesitating to invest in yourself or your dreams, remember that your wealthy self knows the value of strategic investment. Whether it's education, experiences, or opportunities for growth, your wealthy self understands that these are not expenses, but investments in your continued prosperity. As you go about your daily life, pay attention to the quality of your thoughts and feelings about money and wealth. If you notice negative or limiting beliefs arising, gently but firmly replace them with thoughts aligned with your wealthy self. Remember, your thoughts are the seeds of your future reality. Practice speaking about money and wealth in positive, abundant terms. Instead of saying, I can't afford that, say, that's not a priority for me right now. Instead of complaining about bills, express gratitude for the services and goods you received. Your words have power. Use them to reinforce your state of wealth. In your interactions with money, treat it with respect but not reverence. Your wealthy self knows that money is a tool, a means to an end, not an end in itself. Handle your money with care, but don't be overly attached to it. Trust in the flow of abundance. As you embody your wealthy self, you may find yourself drawn to learn more about financial management, investing, and wealth creation. Embrace this desire for knowledge. Your wealthy self understands the value of financial literacy and continual learning. Remember, acting as if you are wealthy doesn't mean pretending to have material possessions you don't yet have. It's about embodying the state of consciousness of a wealthy individual. This state is characterized by confidence, peace, generosity, and a knowing that all your needs are abundantly met. As you persist in this practice, you may start to notice synchronicities and coincidences. That's the ultimate, your new state of being. Perhaps unexpected opportunities arise, or you meet just the right person at just the right time. Welcome these occurrences as confirmation of your engagement with wealth consciousness. If you find yourself in environments or situations that seem to contradict your assumed state of wealth, do not let them shake your conviction. Instead, see them as opportunities to strengthen your assumption. Your wealthy self can move through any circumstance with grace and confidence, knowing that true wealth comes from within. In moments of doubt or fear about your financial future, return to the present moment. Your wealthy self knows that abundance is always available now. By fully occupying and appreciating the present, you open yourself to the infinite possibilities for wealth that exist in each moment. As you continue to act as if you are wealthy, you may find that your desires and goals evolve. What once seemed like the pinnacle of wealth may now feel easily attainable. Allow your vision of wealth to expand. Your wealthy self knows that there are no limits to abundance. Remember, my dear friends, that this practice of acting as if you are wealthy is not about reaching a final destination. It's about embodying a state of being, a way of moving through the world. There's always room for growth, always new levels of abundance to explore. As you embody your wealthy self, you become a beacon of abundance for others. Without saying a word, your energy and presence inspire those around you to consider new possibilities for themselves. In this way, your personal transformation becomes a gift to the world. Finally, my beloved, know that in assuming the state of wealth, you are aligning yourself with your true nature. For you are, in essence, a being of infinite abundance. You are an expression of the divine which knows no lack or limitation. Go forth then and live from this truth. Act as if you are wealthy, not as a pretense, but as an expression of your deepest, most authentic self. For in doing so, you not only transform your own life, but contribute to the elevation of consciousness of all humanity. Remember, the wealthy life you seek is not in some distant future. It is here now waiting for you to step into it. Through your assumption, through your unwavering faith, you bring it into manifestation. May your journey be filled with joy, abundance, and the ever unfolding realization of your infinite worth. Until we meet again, remember, you are the author of your life story. Write it with wealth, with purpose, with love. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of acting as if you are wealthy. May your path be blessed with endless prosperity and abundance. Good night and God bless you all.